YB stays on your neck.
You can understand, though, why fans are aggravated that this fight is taking place in Saudi Arabia.
Well, fans, yeah, British fans that maybe wanted to go to Cardiff, but we can't just, there is another world out there. We know Ruiz didn't particularly want to come to the UK. It's our decision where the fight is held, and if it's in the UK, he has to come to the UK. But to relieve some of that stress, we also don't want any moans from Andy Ruiz and his team, because AJ is going to knock him out. And when he does, we don't want, oh, you made us come to the UK. Oh, you made us come in front of 80,000 people. So we select a neutral venue.
Did he refuse?
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So we just heard there from Eddie, cover up Eddie, set up Eddie, the fix is in Hearn. Now, bear with me for a few minutes here, where I get explaining, but over the next few, probably days and a few weeks, in the early next few weeks, I'm going to be releasing several videos which explain the whole conspiracy behind AJ versus Ruiz. And this one here is the first one in the lot of videos. We've got another video of AJ talking about, but this right here, as you've seen by the title, Eddie Hearn, Team AJ, Eddie Hearn, confess or confirm the fix is in with Ruiz. Now you got to think about the mindset here, about the words Eddie Hearn says here. Eddie Hearn says, the reason we're taking it to Saudi Arabia is so we've got a neutral ground. We don't want no excuses when Andy Ruiz gets knocked out. Now that's it there. If you don't get how that confirms the fix is in, or the setup was in, or when I say setup, I mean turning Margin Boo Ruiz into $100 million turkey. If you don't understand that, don't worry, because as always, the YB is here to break it down and explain it to you. Listen. You got to ask yourself, AJ, this was not only was this AJ's worst performance on June 1st, it was devastating. He got put down 4 times against a little fat man, by the way. He didn't get put down 4 times against Beyonce Wilder, sloppy Beyonce Wilder chicken legs. He didn't get put down 4 times by Mike Tyson himself, the reincarnation of Mike Tyson. No, it was Margin Boo, Andy Ruiz, anyone. The same man who I mugged off about going life and death with Dimitrenko. Listen, this guy Andy Ruiz literally couldn't hurt Dimitrenko. Dimitrenko retired after 7 rounds, and I spoke to Dimitrenko himself and to his team. They told me, I retired on the stool after 7 rounds. Andy Ruiz didn't put me down once, didn't buzz me once. In fact, most of the fight, Dimitrenko literally stood in the centre of the ring catching shots from Ruiz. Didn't even get backed up to the ropes. That's how much force and how much power Ruiz didn't have. And like I said, I spoke to Dimitrenko's team. They told you, to be honest, I stopped after 7 rounds because I got bored. And I told my missus a couple of days ago to put a couple hundred quid in it. That's why he stopped in the 7th round. He got bored of sitting there and having a heavy bag session. So he thought, you know what, I'm out of here. I don't get paid enough for this. I'm out. And that's what happened. Because ask yourself this: why couldn't he knock out a man who's already been knocked out? You could have knocked Dimitrenko out if he had any power. So like I said, you got to understand the mindset here. How does the fighter like AJ end up getting mauled and molested by Andy Ruiz? When that same Andy Ruiz, it wasn't years ago, Andy Ruiz literally 2 months before, he couldn't stun, hurt, concuss or anything to a journeyman. Couldn't do it. He literally couldn't do it. He tried his best. He had the same combinations. My speed, my movement, my combination. He had all that same stuff, but couldn't have any effect. 2-2s. He comes in against the unified heavyweight world champ, and all of a sudden, every shot that hits him is having mass effect. That there is what you call, that there is not a blatant, but that shows you the signs of a fix. And now we hear that the fight's making $100 million. Really? Come on, man. And then to add insult to injury, as if we weren't already conspiratorial, Eddie Hearn tells us that we're happy to go to a neutral venue just so Andy Ruiz doesn't moan when we knock him out. How is Eddie Hearn that confident after that performance? Does that make sense? And that's where for me, Andy Ruiz knows, AJ knows, everyone knows, or all the insiders and the YB insider, we all know that it's game set and match on December 7th. No matter what I talk about AJ's technique sometimes, I talk about this, I talk about that. That's only because I want to see AJ fulfill his true ability. I'm nitpicking at his technique, but the bottom line is, he's had that same technique for his whole career. He's had the leaky defense for the whole career. I'd like to see AJ, I'd like to see AJ go above what he's doing and really become an ultimate fighter in terms of skills. But that's me being idealistic. In reality, he don't need to be Mr. Perfect to do anything to Ruiz. Ruiz, the man couldn't hurt Dimitrenko. That's a fact. I've watched the fight. Couldn't hurt him. Hit him with everything under the sun. Couldn't hurt him a bit. And that's relevant because this AJ, someone who was scared, someone who was uncertain, not even uncertain or scared actually, someone who was just covering their bases, being prudent, would say, you know what, AJ, that there was a shocking performance. We haven't got a clue why, because by the way, AJ's team haven't told us any reason or haven't implied any reason. He was allegedly perfect on that night. So for me, if I was meant to be allegedly perfect and I had my worst performance, I'd be saying, you know what, team, let me, something's not right here. We haven't got a clue what happened. Therefore, let's control some variables here. Let's take it back to the UK. Bearing in mind how much is on this, if he loses again, it's game, set and match. Seriously, it is. It's game, set and match. There's no Wilder talk. There's no like all-time great talk. It goes out flying out the window after 2 back-to-back losses to that caliber of fighter. Straight out the window. So like I said, you've got to ask yourself, what kind of mindset have people got to be in where they're saying, you know what, never mind going back to London, we're prepared to go to Saudi. And not only are we going to go to Saudi, the reason we're going to go, the reason we're happy to forgo to London, is because we don't want Ruiz to cry when we knock him out. We don't want him to cry that we got some benefits in London. That there is a purely confident mindset because they knew what it was. And like I said, I've got other videos coming out in the next few days and weeks which will expose what AJ said after the fight. I'll give you the quick rundown now. After the fight, after having his first devastating loss, real embarrassing loss, he wasn't worried about any of that. He said, don't worry guys. His first interview, never not the second, not the third, his own post-fight in the ring interview. Yeah, well, to be honest, it's going to be great for the networks. It's going to be good for the networks. What? What? And even Sugar Ray Leonard himself, who was commentating, said, what? I've never heard, what's going on here? This guy, something's not right here. Something's not right. You've just been embarrassingly whooped. And I say that in like little quotation marks. You've been embarrassingly whooped on live TV in front of millions. And you're worried about, or you're gleaming, you're happy about how great it's going to be for the networks. You're worried about the finances. People, 6 months later, people don't even think about the finances. Or in fact, he wasn't even talking about the finances. He wasn't even saying, oh, well, this is going to line my pockets in the rematch. He was worried about the network's finances. That there to me, for AJ to be talking or thinking about finances and who it's good for, that tells me there's been some pre-discussion, because there's no way, after you've had your brain rattled for 7 rounds, for that to be the first thing on your mind without no pre-thought, I'm sorry, I don't believe it. AJ must have sat down with the networks, with Hearn, and said, how do we create some value here? Because Fury's ducking, Wilder's ducking, where can we create a big fight without having any of the big guys step up because they're all pussies? Hearn came along. In fact, I talked to people who were in the know. Hearn came along with a great idea as ever and said, AJ, how about this? You want to be $1 billion man? These are these $1 billion pussies, in as much as the people who can make us, well, not make us, but the people who can, the skulls we can take in Fury and Wilder, who can set us on the path nicely towards $1 billion, they don't want even a bit of smoke. I'll tell you what we'll do. Take a loss, and actually, by taking a loss, when you bounce back, and when he demolishes Ruiz, as Eddie Hearn points out in this interview I just played, he told you, when we murk him, we don't want no excuses. And when he murks Ruiz, what else do we know? It's going to be like, it's going to people rant and rave about Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis, in his first loss, people say, oh well, Lennox Lewis is the first man to, or is the only man to beat all the people he lost to. Get it right. Lennox Lewis lost in his first loss. He didn't come back and fight the man straight away. He had about 4 warm-up fights. So don't give him credit. AJ's doing something truly great. His first loss, devastating by the way, straight back in there. Unprecedented. Not even Lennox Lewis had the balls to do that. So when AJ, this makes AJ even greater. Because the lows he got sent to on June 1st are going to be completely eclipsed when he does ungodly things to Ruiz. So I have to take my hat off to Eddie Hearn. Nonetheless, the YB, just too deep, too much IQ, too deep. The YB's dons who follow, we're too deep out here. We see this stuff, and that's why it gets reported. You can't get none of this reporting going nowhere else. No one else hears that and clocks on the deep, fundamental, what it means. What does it actually mean? How you have to analyse this stuff. Where is he getting? How is Eddie Hearn worrying about? Oh well, we don't want him to complain. Huh? You should be worried about winning the fight, but he's not worried about winning the fight. Why isn't Eddie Hearn worried about winning the fight? Why are they so confident that they're so happy to appease Ruiz on the location, just so he doesn't moan when we knock him out? That's because they know this is a perfectly crafted little gig here. Nicely set up, perfectly. Big, fat, wide turkey. And what makes me laugh the most at the moment is the fact that Ruiz is actually feeling himself. He's proper, like, into it. Oh, he's got his little...
Yeah, I just bought $1 million crib. I'm a champion, baby. Yeah, and he was gonna be on my turn.
He's proper growing into the role as if it's real. And I feel sorry for him in a way, because come December 7th, when he gets splattered, it's all going to come falling down. And I actually blame a lot of you fans, because you fans have gassed him. You've forgotten that this was a setup. You haven't heard Hearn's words here. You haven't heard him. He told you. We're taking him to Saudi and not London. Number one, because it's $100 million. And number two, because we don't want you to mind about, just like the Joseph Parker situation. Oh, Joseph Parker didn't want no parts of AJ on the inside. What planet are you lot on? Oh, good day, mate. Yeah, mate, Joseph Parker, mate. Yeah, Anthony Joshua and the referee, they protected Joshua. Oh yeah, they didn't want Joseph Parker fighting him on the inside. Are you joking? AJ would have splattered him on the inside. Yeah? Joseph Parker's team begged the referee before the fight, please, ref, do not let AJ touch us on the inside. That's the truth. They put about 15 grand in the referee's pocket and said, listen, anytime AJ gets close to splattering us, split us up. Make sure I'm never within 2 feet of him. Make sure we keep it long, so I only get battered with a jab. And that's what happened the whole fight. He got battered with a jab and battered with a right hand. Didn't want no parts of it. Like Chisora pointed out, Parker wanted none of it on the inside. Didn't want none. The same as, and if you want evidence of that, watch Ruiz versus Parker. Guess again, Parker wanted none of it on the inside. Whenever Parker's you know what? Scrap Parker. I don't know why I'm talking about him for. Listen, the fix is in. And I'm glad to... sometimes when I go ranting and raving about AJ's technique, sometimes I have to take a step back and actually realise and think about what's happened here. Do you know what I mean? I have to actually realise, you know what, it's a setup. And I'm, in a way, as of all things, I'm 99% sure it's been a setup here. But we're going to know, because within 6 rounds, we'll know. The fight will be... If the fight isn't over within 6 rounds, or... You know what, forget it. If the fight ends... and it's close as you like, then we'll know that it weren't. But if he goes in there and splatters this guy, please don't no one talk about, oh, that was a great... We'll know then exactly what it was. And fair play to him, because this has never been done in business before. Actually, it has. A lot of sport is... I wouldn't even call it corrupt, I'd just call it making money. And fair play to him, because no one's been hurt here. Ruiz gets splattered, and the whole universe goes back to... The whole universe has been avenged. Everything's back to normal. Ruiz goes back to obscurity. Wilder runs into hiding. Fury runs into hiding. Well, Fury probably knocked out by Dubois by then, but you see what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'll be intrigued to see what your guys' take is on this.